Welcome back to NTheRealestWay podcast by Marqes Smith, where we talk about so many topics in the realest way. It's been a minute since I made a podcast episode, and I have so much to talk about. There has been so many new developments in my life, so many more experiences, so many things I had to deal with, and I'm just so excited to actually be able to talk about some of this stuff. In this podcast episode, I want to talk about asking for exactly what you want and the importance of it. And I want to start this off by giving a quote that Kerry Washington said. And she said, "You can't pray to catch the bus and then scroll down the street. You have to pray to catch the bus and run as fast as you can. Because then if you miss the bus, it's not your bus. But if you don't run, that could have been your bus. And if you don't pray, that could have been your bus." And it really explains the entirety of what this podcast is about. Praying and running as fast as you can. Sometimes we as people, we forget that we have to do both. We have to do both of those things. Praying and running. Because you can pray all you want to, but God's not going to give you what you desire because you're not working towards it. You know, it's like you say you want to go to the gym, but you stay home and you eat pizza and McDonald's. It's like God's not going to give you that perfect body. God's not going to give you it's not going to come to you. And that can go for any instance of what you're trying to work in your life. If you want to speak better, you need to read more. God's not just going to magically let it happen. Life is not going to magically let it happen. So yes, I want to pray for a better body, a healthier body, but I need to run as fast as I can. I need to be going to the gym. I need to be working out. So it's very intentional, asking for exactly what you want. And I want to talk about that in terms of in every aspect of your life. For instance, in relationships, in platonic and romantic, by being clear in the beginning and concise about exactly what you want from this other person, so there's an understanding between you two. Because if there's stuff that's left questionable in the beginning, they become issues in the future. So be clear. For instance, in a platonic relationship, I expect a friend who will support me in public and correct me in private. That's me personally. I want a friend who will correct me in private and support me in public. And I'm not saying agree with me, but I'm saying be my friend. And just, be a supportive friend who cares about you, how you feel, and everything that's going on in your life. That's exactly what I want from a friend. I don't care about how much money you have. It doesn't move me. It doesn't do anything for me. What I care about is having a supportive friend. So I'm very clear about how I don't let everybody around me. I don't call everybody my friend. I'm very clear and I'm very concise. And that can go for relationships in terms of romantic. Being clear about what you want in the beginning. Hey, I'm not interested in just settling down with you. I'm interested in having an open relationship with more than one person. Hey, I want to, I want to have more than you as a sexual partner, so many things. Hey, I want to be just with you. I want a monogamous relationship. Be clear about what you want in the beginning so there's no room for interpretation. And that can go for boundaries in any relationship. If you're clear about, hey, you can't talk to me like that, and you set that boundary between you and that person, once they cross that boundary and you already told them, hey, you cross this boundary again, I'm going to, there's going to be a consequence to what you just did. There's something's going to happen. Everything, whether it's good or bad, has a action and a reaction. If I'm, as a musical, person who plays an instrument, if I'm practiced continuously, perfecting my instrument in the music I'm playing, the action is me practicing. The reaction of that is me getting better. If I want to run faster and, have a better time and, all that stuff, the action is working out and doing endurance training for running. The reaction is you being able to get better and continually getting better. Everything has a action and a reaction. And it's important that you understand that when you're asking for exactly what you want, be specific. Be specific to God. Be specific to life. Be specific to people around you. Everything matters. And like the previous podcast episode I made about, it really is that deep. It really is that deep. And this is going to asking for exactly what you want. You have to ask for exactly what you want, because people are not going to understand exactly what you want without you telling them. Of course, some things are common sense, but like people say all the time, common sense is not that common. Everybody don't have common sense in terms of relationships. Everybody was not brought up exactly like you. So it's important that you understand that asking for exactly what you want will help you and the other person. If I'm telling you all these things that I want out of life or out of you, in a healthy way, that's your decision to move this relationship forward or not. And also by asking for exactly what you want, it leaves no room for people who would want to cross your boundaries. If I'm a type of person who is very, I'm very specific about who I hang around. So if I say I don't want to be around this person, and I already said it before, there should be no room for any misunderstandings, because I asked you and I told you exactly what I wanted. It really does give you a sense of, protection in terms of your mind and you being at peace, because those are the things that matter. Yes, it's important to, care about other people. It's really important. It's a beautiful thing that God has given us to actually be able to care for other people, give to other people. But it's important that we give that to ourselves first. Because I don't know, for some reason why people, they don't understand that loving yourself will help with loving other people. If you cannot love yourself, if you don't care about yourself, you treat yourself, you don't have any boundaries within yourself and how other people treat you, or with yourself, you allow yourself to be treated any kind of way towards yourself, why would I want to have any kind of relationship with you? I mean, these things really matter. Asking for exactly what you want, it's a sense of protection, because I'm asking you for a person who cares. If you don't care about yourself, you won't care about other people. It's that simple. No matter which way you want to shift it and shake it and turn it around upside down, it's the truth. It's the truth. If you do not care about yourself, if you don't love yourself, you'll go for anything. You'll go for anything. It's important that we find the love within ourselves to give it to other people. Because once we know how to love ourselves, we can then love other people. Ask for exactly what you want. It's clear and concise, and there's no room for confusion. It really is a way to, have expectations, healthy ones. It's okay to have healthy expectations. It's okay to say those things to people. We sometimes feel like what we're saying and what we're doing, we don't want to become an issue when it actually matters, when it actually is bothering us. And that's when you speak about it. That's when you say something. There was a time when I didn't say exactly what I wanted, and I just let people do whatever they wanted around me. And I was like, oh, it doesn't matter. Oh, it's nothing. No, I'm going to address it. I'm going to be direct. And I want to tell you why and what you're doing is how it's affecting me. Because in doing so, you then have an opportunity to speak to me in a way to where I can understand you. And it could go any way. We could have a further disagreement to where, our paths don't cross anymore. Or we can have an understanding that, hey, it was just a misunderstanding. So ask for exactly what you want from yourself and for other people, because in then doing that, we have an understanding and a healthy relationship with anybody, not even a platonic, romantic, work people you see outside. You know what I'm saying? All these things. It's important to ask for exactly what you want in a healthy way. And you can get in a whole conversation about preference and, I can really go into it. But preference and asking for exactly what you want, that's when you get a little tricky, okay? And that's for a whole nother podcast episode. But I wanted this podcast episode to really just highlight the importance of asking for exactly what you want. And being clear with God and other people, it really will. You'll get something positive in return when you're clear and concise, when you know exactly what you want out of life. When I wake up in the morning, I tell myself, this is what I want to do in the day. This is what I won't do in the day. I will not be lazy. I will not, these certain things that we sometimes forget to do, it really matters. It really matters. So asking for exactly what you want from yourself, it really will push you to be better. There's so many things that I have to do that me telling myself, me asking myself and saying exactly what I want to do, it is doing exactly that. Me saying it and holding myself accountable, speaking it into existence, and then upholding it. Those things, they work. Like Kerry Washington said about praying to catch the bus and running as fast as you can. Give it your all. Give it your entirety of who you are. Give it your all. And that can be, again, in an unhealthy way of asking yourself what you want and saying exactly what you want. And then it do the opposite. Because there's times when I hear people say these so many negative things about themselves that they forget that your mind can play tricks on you. And saying exactly what you want can be something that is beneficial, but it can also be negative. If I come up to work every day and I'm saying, I'm so slow, I'm so stupid, I will never get as this far a level as I want to. And you continually stay on that level because your mind is telling you, and you're telling your mind exactly what you want. And that's that you will never progress. But if you tell yourself, hey, I want to do this today and I want to get better, and then you will continually get better, whether you believe it or not. There has been so many times when I was like, okay, I don't see where this is going. I don't see how me moving forward, I don't see it. I don't see the progress. I don't see the steps. But looking back at the big picture, I can see where I was and where I am right now. And there's so many things that I couldn't do in the past that I said I couldn't do until I actually enabled my mind and I surrounded myself with people who said, no, this is not the best of you. There is more. And like Keke Palmer said, she wants to be a star, a rising star. She don't want to be at her top. She don't want to be like I'm as famous as I'll ever be. She's saying that no, there's more to what she has right now. This is only the beginning. So say exactly what you want because it's important, but let it be in a healthy way. And if it's not healthy right now, find a way to get there. It's okay to not be where you want to be right now, but understand that it's not a healthy place and that there's something better, something more positive, something more in the future that is meaningful. And that these hard times and how your mind is telling you how to feel, it's not forever. It's temporary. It's important that we understand that. Say exactly what you want and mean it. Pray to catch the bus and run as fast as you can. I'm just so thankful. I'm glad. This podcast episode, it means a lot to me. This podcast means a lot to me. I'm glad I get to speak about so many topics that matter to me and that God has given me to speak about. And there were times when, like a lot of people say when you're making podcast episodes, they think it's easy, but it really does take a lot out of you. And it's not something that you can just do. It's not just easy, just do it. And it has become harder for me to make podcast episodes. I'm going to be honest with myself and with other people, the people who are listening to this podcast, who care about my well-being and, just how I feel. It has become hard. And I know that this is something that God wants me to do. And it's something that I want to do. And I understand that this feeling is only temporary, and I'm just going to push through it like anything. I'm going to push through it. I'm going to give every worry I have to God, and that'll be it. I'm just going to give it to God. Give it to God and just keep doing what you were put on this earth to do, your purpose. But yeah, this podcast, I never saw myself doing this. I never saw myself, I always found myself, speaking and talking. But it's not until I asked God in, like this podcast episode, asking for exactly what you want. That's when God, started showing me the signs. Started, putting these pieces into this puzzle to where I could see clearer. Okay, so this right here is a tree. Okay, this right here is a rock. I'm starting to see the picture in a bigger sense than what I did before. Before, it was just puzzle pieces everywhere. I didn't know which place went here, but with God, anything is possible. And that's what I want to leave this podcast episode off on. God. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this podcast episode. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my podcast. I've made like 10 episodes before this. If you want to go back and watch them, I think they're really meaningful. I think they're very, important as us as people that we talk about. So whenever you have a chance, just, go back whenever you can and listen to my podcast in the realest way. Like I see at the end of every podcast episode, I give thanks to the highest and the utmost power, God. I'm thankful for my friends and my family, my listeners. I really appreciate it. There's more to this podcast. It's not just going to be on my phone. I'm going to get equipment and it's going to get bigger and, better with what God wants me to do. So, yeah. Thank you. This is NTheRealestWay podcast. Out.